Hey, it's Bradford. We're back with another WoW TCG deck tech. This is going to be another raid DPS deck, and who would have known it's another Warlock one. Let me just get these out of the way, because you know I have them. So, instead of being a red army-based horde dudes deck that has a lot of card advantage, a little more universal removal, this deck's just more damage and, well, it's got some shenanigans going on, so we'll get to it. Demon DPS. So we're playing Archimonde the Defiler, the big purple man. He's got pay 4, flip, target ally has +2/-2. You won't really be using this much. If you need to kill an ally with 2 health, that's great. Or if you need to pump your guy to swing for 2 more, sweet. His flip side, if you do complete that, you can pay 7 and put a copy of an ally into play. It's a token and it's a demon monster. Okay, so we've got, I just labeled it the same as the other Warlock because it really does have the same categories. Small, cheap threats, the bigger threats, some utility and some resources, but we have way more cards here. There's a lot more one-ofs. So let's just jump into Unholy Power if you don't know this card already. It's pay 4. It's an ongoing ability, even though it doesn't say it. They errated it later on. So it is pay 4 ongoing. Demons in your party have +3 attack, +3 health, including your hero. So it makes all your demons just absolutely overstated like I've never seen before. Like, take this guy. He's a 1-drop, 1/2. Like, he looks buff, but he's a 1/2. So, you know, it's not really the same thing. But when you put this on him, then he turns into a 1-drop ferocity 4/5. It's like, oh, that's fair. Okay. Some planet. So you saw him, Felguard Basher. This card, to me, is, like, awful without it in play. But he's great with it, or great with Warbringer Arix'amal to give you other demons +2 attack. So anyways, Unholy Power is the best card in the deck. If you can get it into play, sweet. The other card that has tons of synergy with this deck is Doom Commander Zaakuul. So he himself is a demon. Yay. He's a 3/6. He's also monster hero required, so this is the kind of card that you really don't see much unless you see people playing monster decks, and even then, he's got a lot of requirements for people to see this card in play. I think I've never really seen it in PvP until I just specifically designed a deck to try it out. So his power is whenever another non-token creature ally you control is destroyed, put a token copy of that ally into play. It is also a demon monster. So again, that's all non-token. So whenever a creature dies, if it's not a token, you get a token copy of it. It's now a demon and monster as well. Super significant because you can get 2 Doom Commander Zaakools on the field, and if you kill one of them, he comes back with a copy with all the same text. So you get all the same inter-battlefield abilities again. It's just pretty nuts. Plus, you have a token creature that's a copy, so it's like every time your opponent kills a dude, you just get another of the same dude. And then if your opponent happens to wipe the board while this guy's out, all the non-token guys that are left still come back as they come back as tokens, even if this guy dies. So he's just going to turn some of your plays into some insane ones. He himself's a little slow. He costs 5, he has 3 attack, but with 6 health, he'll survive most things. So all you need to do is get him into play, and the moment you cast him, you can just trade your whole board into your opponent's stuff and just get token copies of everything. That feels pretty good. So those are the main 2 cards of the deck. We've also got one of Shade of Aran. When he comes into play and start your turn, he gets to copy all the powers of an ally. So he can come into play and copy this guy as like a 5th copy. He can even copy the token version of him and still have the same powers. So it's nice to be a little bit redundancy. Plus Shade of Aran's very universal. He can do what almost any ally in the deck can do. So he's got a lot of power. He's not a demon, but that's alright. He's got plenty of other things going for him. So in a way, we have almost 5 copies of this. Plus our 4 Unholy Powers. I guess I'll go over these one by one, but the main theme is these are small demons that do damage. Got that? These are big demons that do damage. You got that? Utility's got a bunch of specific cards, kind of like removal, but I did want to jump over to Summoning Portal. We have one of these. I talked about it in the other Warlock deck, right? It's pretty clunky. It's hard to pull off, but we have a single one of because it's still good to have. Because this deck tends to be a little slower than the other Warlock deck, but tends to go like insane. It's pretty nuts. So we have 1 Summoning Portal, so we can tutor up for a dude, and 3 Fel Trades. This is kind of like a Summoning Portal that puts guys right into play. So destroy any number of allies you control. If you do, search your deck for an ally with cost less than or equal to the combined cost of cards destroyed this way, and put it into play. What does that mean? So if you want to put this guy into play, it costs 5. You can have, let's say, a 2-drop like this dude, and a 3-drop, maybe this guy, sure. So you have 2 creatures. You can cast Fel Trade, sack both the creatures, like sack this dude, and then a Doom Commander just comes into play. You could probably make this on, like, turn 4 play, sure. This isn't a great turn 4 play, but you get the point. It lets you tutor up for things and put them into play immediately, where summoning portal is like a mana investment for the next turn most of the time, or if you have a ton of mana. Fel Trade lets you sacrifice some certain creatures to enhance your board right now, immediately. And raids are not like PvP, where it's like, oh, I can take some more damage for the turn. Raids are like, well, we need to kill the boss right now, or he's going to kill someone, and we can't practically win from that point. So what you can do also is, once you have a Doom Commander Zaakuul in play, you can start Fel Trading away your allies, and then they come back as tokens immediately. That's pretty busted when you get to do that. So with these in play, this was 4 more ways to find our best creature, Doom Commander Zaakuul. So that's why this deck's slower, because it relies on a 5-drop to kind of go off. Let's go over the utility stuff first before we go over the old kind of plain threats. We've got 2 Sardok. I talk about him. He's still significantly powerful. He's a demon as well, but he's just kind of boring to play, and he makes the games not super fun. So add more of these if you want to win every raid match, or don't. I've got 1 Rhuunom. He's a 1-drop 2/2. Into your turn, you can destroy an attachment if you do draw a card. You won't need this guy most of the time, but he is a random 1-drop. Like, if you don't have another play, you just play a 1-drop 2/2. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's in the deck because you can search him up with our 4 search effects, or his job is to get rid of attachments. I don't really know what attachments you're going to be playing against, but there's plenty of attachments. That doesn't have to be attached to you. It might be like a dot on your friend. Like, hey man, I'll eat that for you. Oh, thanks, buddy. There you go. We have a 1-drop Terror Hound. He's a 1/1. When he enters play, you can switch the attack and health of target ally. This works on the enemies. It works on your own guys. I don't really play with them that much. It might just be better to have another one of these ferocity dudes. But there's also some certain allies that are really weird that the raid plays. Like, it might play a 1/15 guy that takes forever to kill. You can just flip his health over and run into it with something. That makes it a lot easier. Having this as a tutorable 1/of with a very specific effect means you bring a lot of power to the raid. Here's Hesriana. We got 1 of her. She removes an ally when she enters play, takes their text. It's great in a raid. Sometimes it's OP if you steal some really powerful text. But for the most part, play her too much in PvP, so I wanted to limit her to 1 because I want to play some more interesting cards. And most of the time, there's not that many allies in the raid, so we have 1 we can tutor up. We have 4 tutors plus herself, so that's like 5 copies. Twilight Assassin. Here's an all-star raid card that you can start including if you haven't before. He's a 3-drop 2/2. When he enters play, draw a card for each other player unless they choose and discard a card. Pretty much nobody does that, so he's basically just a 3-drop 2/2 that usually draws you like 3 or 4 cards. Yeah. Pretty good. Doesn't matter that he's not a demon, but he's trying to pretend to be a demon. You see that little mask on his face? He's trying to be edgy, so that's his way of life. He's a Blood Elf rogue, so got it. This guy's a 5-drop 3/5 empower monster. You can destroy an equipment when he enters play. Really not necessary to have. I mean, easy to just side this guy out, put something in. But with our 4 tutors plus himself, this is essentially a 5 of destroy target equipment, which might be super relevant depending on the raid, or toss him out, put it in any random demon, you'll be fine. Okay, let's go down the curve with the small threats. We saw the Felguard Basher, Ferocity 1/2, gets way better with our other demon pumpers in the deck. Jadefire Scout, I'm sure you've seen him before, 1-drop 3/2, can only swing at heroes. You have to remember that, because sometimes raids are relying on allies that are, like, all their mechanics are built into the allies, and he can't really punch allies. In fact, there are some raids that have no hero in play. Technically, he can't attack if there's no hero. Priestess of Horror, 2-drop 3/2 with Absorb. Absorb is like lifelink, except it only works if she deals damage to the enemy hero, not if she trades into an ally. We have 3 of her. Honestly, you take a lot of damage sometimes. It's just nice to be able to heal back up. Especially if you can pump and make her huge. Then she's like a, what, +3/3? So she's a 2-mana 5, no, 2-mana 6/5. God, that's crazy. A 2-mana 6/5 that heals you. So it's also nice to have 1 out if you can keep it. So when she starts dying, you can make a copy of her. At least get 1 copy of her, so you can just keep your own health total up to date. The other Warlock does a pretty good job of keeping itself full, so this one's going to stay in the same job category of keeping our life totals up. Bazul, another dude, there's 3/1, gets huge with Unholy Power, and he heals us a little bit, does damage when he comes into play, just kind of does everything we want. He's a great kind of card to put into play, do some damage, attack the next turn, and then Fel Trade away. Because with 1 health, he'll die to anything. Gaktai. You've probably never seen this dude. I know I hadn't. I had to look for a while, back when I was just sitting on WoW TCG browser, just wondering, how do I make it better? He's a 2-drop 2/1. When he enters play, you can put 2 damage on your hero and draw a card. It's a May ability, so you don't have to. This is another reason why I wanted to not just play Hesriana. I wanted to play some other pets This guy helps us hit our land drops. We have less quests than the other decks do, because we're reliant more on drawing our great cards that we have. We have a lot of them, so we want to just bolster through the deck, and we want to always be playing threats. This guy's stats are pretty weak, but this is not like an early aggro ferocity deck. This is a get to turn 4 and 5 and just do outrageous things kind of deck. So he gets to trade with things if we want, or he gets to sit and play and pressure our opponent and then get Fel Traded away later while drawing a card. He's great. He does a little bit of damage to us, which is why we have cards to heal ourselves. You could pump him up to a 3 of if you want, but I feel like 2 of is fine. I don't want to overload on pets, because we have 2 of him, 1 Hesriana's 3, this guy makes it 4, 5, 6. So 6 pets is probably okay. It's a good number. If you want to go up on him, you can. But a lot of the times you'll have other things to do with your mana, and you just don't feel like taking damage and drawing a card. Warbringer Arix'amal, you could easily add a 3rd of him in this deck. He's great with most of the cards. Just a 3-drop 3/2, other demons have +2 attack. He is unique, so when you can't have one and a token copy of him on the battlefield as well, because they're both unique with the same name. Alright, Sister of Seduction is a 3-drop 3/2. When she dies, Portal. Portal is when you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and you put a demon with cost less than this guy's cost and put it into play. The rest go on the bottom. So, again, look at the top 3. So when this card dies, look at the top 3 and put a demon that costs less than this into play. So that means only 1 and 2 drops get put into play by this creature. It's not perfect, but another way to think about it is you get to reveal the top 3, and if there's no 1, 2, or 3, or there's no 1 or 2 drop demons, then she just kind of pushes everything away. So she kind of clears the way, lets you know what's on the bottom of your deck, what you're not going to have. Having her as only a 2 of means she's an easy creature to Fel Trade, because you might be able to get something else into play. We have a number of 1 and 2 drop things, so we can hit pretty reliably off her. And she's only a 2 of. I just wanted to try her out. You can mess with the numbers if you want to go for more of a portal style. That's another one of the reasons, since we have this portal card, why we have less quests and less abilities and just mostly demons. Bleakheart Hellcaller. Let's start over. That's a Bleakheart Hellcaller. He's a 4-drop 4/3. When he enters, or no, it's when he's destroyed, he portals as well. So he's the same as her, except he's a 4-drop. And there's way more things that cost 3. When I say way more, do I mean exactly 3? There's 1, 2, and then 3 is Hesriana. So I guess not way more at all. Or plus these 2. So there's 5 more. That's pretty significant, 5 more cards. His stats are fine. It's really not much better than her, but the fact that he gets the portal just keeps our card advantage train rolling, and he's a great card to Fel Trade into, or Fel Trade away, just put some dude in play. Just keeps the threat train rolling. We remember the big threats, Unholy Power and Doom Commander. Got the 1-of Shade of Aran. And now we get to run into the sweet demons. I think these are all 1-ofs, and you could tweak these numbers, but that's why we also have our portals. We can search all these different 1-ofs. It's really fun to play. Varimathos, Dreadlord, Insurgent. So this brings me back, because I remember playing Warcraft 3 and seeing all the sweet Dreadlords, and then I feel like I went years without ever seeing those guys in WoW, or they were just super minor characters, so it was fun to see them come back in the card game, especially in a format I like to play, which is raids. So this 5-drop 3/4 is also unique. When he enters play, Portal, but he says any cards that you would reveal with Portal, reveal 6 instead of 3. That makes portaling so much better in this deck, let me tell you. So a 5-drop that gets to portal 6 deep means you can grab anything that costs 4 or less. I don't think there's any 4-cost demons. Really, the only 4-cost demons that I saw were just no good, so just take my word for it. Except for this guy. This guy's sweet, and you can put more of him in there if you wanted, but this deck could always use some more tweaking, but it's pretty freaking powerful as it is. He's nice if you can let him stay in play and keep him alive and make your other portals way stronger. Speaking of portals, this guy is a 6-drop, Zalekor the Ferocious. He's a 4/3. He himself has ferocity, which is good, and he's a demon. When he enters play, you get to portal, which I've had plenty of times where you have him out, so you're portaling for 6 off a 6-drop, which means you can put anything that costs 5 or less into play, which is one of the reasons he's one of the stronger guys. If you're going to edit this deck, I would make this guy a 2 or a 3 of, because he is also not unique. So he can really reliably hit anything, but he can especially hit Doom Commander Zaakuul, our best card, who's not unique. He also has when a non-token ally enters play under your control. If you didn't play it from your hand, it has ferocity. What does that mean? It means if you put a dude in play that you didn't cast, it has ferocity. So anything that portals in gets to attack immediately. Whether or not this guy portaled, it doesn't matter. It just means it does ferocity from now on. Also, Dreadsteed of Xoroth, which is pay for, put a demon ally from your graveyard into play, as long as you have resources to cast him, right? So you can only put a 5-drop into play if you have 5 resources. Well, since you're not casting the demon and it's not a token, this guy gives it ferocity. So if we're going to sit here and edit the deck right now, I'd probably pump this guy up to a 2, at least a 2 of, maybe even a 3 of. I have one Vylokx, or Vylokx, like I guess the K is silent, like demons are very particular about that. So this guy's a 6-drop 5/5. When he enters play, he deals 2 shadow damage to each non-demon monster, hero, and ally. This is an easy way to lose friends, because most of your other raiders do not play demons. So you're just going to punch everyone in the raid for 2 and punch all their allies for 2. They won't love that. It also says other demon and monster allies you control have +2/2. It doesn't work on your hero, it's only your allies. And it doesn't work on himself. He's always a 5/5. But he serves as another pump effect. He's also a tutorable pumped effect, which is huge when you can Fel Trade in, do some stuff, and put this guy into play, pump the rest of your guys. He also pings the enemy board. This is a great kind of effect that you want to have as a tutorable effect. Because sometimes you just need to pyroclasm the enemies like Onyxia, just want to kill all the whelps, you got it. Archimonde, he's huge, he's a 6-drop 7/5, and then wait a minute. He looks familiar. That's right. That's okay. We can summon the power of a baby version of ourselves. That just works out for us. So he's a 6-drop 7/5, and he's a demon with Smash, which is like trample for magic. When he enters play, he smashes 7 shadow damage to target opposing ally. So anything over lethal will hit the opponent's face. Don't really think you need this in a raid. I think I just put it in here a long time ago when I made it. Hey, if you need to kill one specific large ally and you have to have damage to do it, like if the ally has some kind of protection from Hesriana effects, then this guy's fine. But he's an easy guy to toss aside and grab some more ferocity portal dudes, yeah. He also sits in play and is a 7/5, so he's pretty good. Mal'Ganis, an 8-drop. Try not to resource him unless you really have to. You have him on turn 1, because you will often find yourself wanting to portal for this guy later on. As an 8-drop 9/9 who's unique, when he enters play and when he attacks, portal. If a portal power would let you choose one card and put it in the battlefield, you may choose any number of cards and put them into play instead. So he gets to portal for 3 cards every time he attacks. And since it costs 8, it's pretty much look at the top 3 cards, put all demons into play. It's really powerful, especially if you pair him with a Very Mathis, and he's portaling for 6 and then putting all demons into play instead. This deck refills the board like crazy, especially if you're drawing 4 or 5 off this and getting some card advantage off this little dude. Actually, this is a little booger. That's the correct description. So, Mal'Ganis, pretty sweet. He's one of these cool one-of demons. It's so much fun to go through and tweak all these guys, so hope you have some fun doing that. Looking at the utility, we already did that. So let's go down to the resources. Legendary heroes, pay 1, draw a card. That's pretty much it. Your opponent won't be able to react or interact with this most of the time, unless you're in some weird raid or one of the newer ones, so just keep that in mind. 3 Dreadsteed of Xoroth, we already went over that one, but this just gets back your best demon at any point. It's expensive, but being able to put it right into play is better than drawing a card and having to cast it most of the time. What Illidan wants, Illidan gets ... If a demon's in your party, pay 2, draw a card. Very simple, very good. 2 Arathi Basins. This will probably end up drawing you 1 to 3 cards over the raid. Sounds nice. This deck is really fun to play. Try it out, or give it to someone who can kind of do some math on it. It's not as easy to play as some other decks, because the creatures are inherently a little bit weaker. Like a 2-drop 3/2, it just heals. It's just not that good. But in combination with cards that put them into play for free and pump them up and make them huge, or make copies of them, even the copies of them are huge as well. This is a very synergy-based deck, and so it takes a lot of decisions, especially because you have less resources to pick from. Whoever has to play it has to decide, like, what am I going to resource every turn? Do I need this dude? Do I need this dude? Because you're going to be making those decisions. The easy decisions are typically things like this little pet. If the raid doesn't have any attachments that you know of, or if you just don't see any, sometimes you just throw it down as a resource. You got to move on. Look at the sideboard. 1 Hesriana. Easy. Pygmy Pyramid. Why did I put him in here? I put 3 of them in here. He's just grindy and elusive min-2 protector. Your opponent has to choose to use remove on to get rid of. And if you have Doomlord Zaakuul and this guy dies, you still get all the tokens, and then he comes back, and then when the copy of him dies, you get a bunch more tokens too. The tokens themselves don't double up, but it's like a 1-card infinite grind. It's super annoying, and it can heal anyone, and it can protect anyone. It's very good if you're on the defensive for some reason, and very good with just Doomlord or Doom Commander Zaakuul in general. Dread Infernal is a 5-drop 5/5. I don't know if I've ever played this card before, but when he enters or leaves play, he deals 1 fire damage to each opposing hero and ally. This is a sideboard. Like, I don't know if you ever really need this dude, but having a tutorable board sweeper is pretty fun. He only damages the opposing stuff, which is why I have him over Vylokx. It's kind of the Onyxia card. Like, if you're playing Onyxia, I guess toss this in the deck. It's a 1-of, it's 5. It's pretty cheap to either Fel Trade into or to Summoning Portal. And the fact he doesn't damage your own stuff like Vylokx does, he doesn't shoot your opponents, or he doesn't shoot your opponents and your allies. What's the word here? He doesn't shoot your teammates' allies. So, hey, whatever. He might kill some whelps with him. Cool. This Gilblin Plunderer, who's down here swimming in the ocean, he just kills an equipment. We got 2 more of him plus the 1 in the deck in case you're up against like Magtheridon or something with nuts equipment. It's 1 of Dread Hound. When it enters play, you can destroy another ally you control and destroy target ability. We pretty much can't destroy abilities in this deck. It's kind of an issue compared to the other Warlock. It's less universal, but it does more damage eventually, and it's more recoverable than the other Warlock. Here's a 1-of that we can tutor up or portal into. The Inventor's Focal Sword. This is a sweet raid card that you don't really see, and I think people should take a look at it for raids. It's Warlocks, Mages, and Paladins. For some reason, Paladin. So it's a 3-drop, and then it has 2 tap. If a target ability is attached to a hero ally, you can just attach it to another one. That's pretty cool, because you can, if it's like some kind of negative effect, you can just reattach a dot on your opponent. So not only are you getting rid of it, you're moving it. It doesn't work versus just random ongoing abilities, but it does work against attachments. So if you have a raid deck that plays attachments, this is a really fun counter. Well, that was pretty much the deck. It's play some cheap dudes that you can portal into other cheap dudes, so you have to have a number of them. Play some ridiculous over-the-top finishers with Doom Commander Zaakuul and Unholy Power. Let me tell you, when you play Unholy Power, if you've never cast this card before, you just kill every boss in 1 turn. It's that simple. In fact, you might kill 2 or 3 bosses in 1 turn. When you've got a bunch of tokens that come into play and you're portaling, and then the portal guys get Ferocity too, then you can Ferocity trade those guys off, and then they die and the tokens come back. There's a lot of neat stuff with this deck. I hope you guys have some fun with it.